Good evening, welcome to Pub Football. Miles and Jimmy here looking back over the weekend's Premier League games. As always, some exciting games, some less exciting games, some shock results and some very predictable results. One that Jimmy predicted, which I could not believe you got bang on, and you know which one it is as well. We'll come to it very soon. So we'll start with the first game of the weekend at the Amex. Brighton drawing 1-1 with Liverpool. Liverpool players getting very angry at VAR and the scheduling. Two things that I don't think they should be getting angry at because they've had more than their fair share of luck with penalties. Salah diving. So I don't think they can really come out and say how much they hate it now. And when it comes to scheduling, I hate the argument. You've got 25 players in the squad. If you're a good manager, you can rotate those players. In games like Brighton, I know that they didn't get the win, but if that's because of tiredness, it should have played some of the fresh legs because 3 Liverpool sides in that squad right now are probably better than the Brighton team.
Yeah, agreed. I don't agree with the argument either, to be honest, mate. They did kind of shift around the squad slightly against Atalanta in the week, so there aren't that many excuses, to be honest. It's not exactly like it was the same team out again. Obviously, the penalty, I did think it was a penalty. He did catch him. It should have been given. And as you say, the Salah one from a couple of weeks ago against West Ham, there's no real difference, so stop moaning. And it's nice to finally see some Scousers starting to get a bit aggy that it's not going their way.
Do you think
Happy days.
Do you think Liverpool are going to win the league this year?
I think it's so open, it's anyone's, but their form is not great. Van Dijk being out for as long as he is, and now Joe Gomez gone as well. They've got a big couple of weeks coming up with all the games coming in, so we'll see what happens.
On to the next game, which was the one you predicted very accurately. I couldn't believe it. Manchester City beating Burnley 5-0. Burnley are in trouble, real trouble.
Yeah, big time. As you said, I can't believe I got it spot on. It just made me so happy. I think that's about the 3rd or 4th time they've been battered 5-0. So, yeah, there's just nothing to be particularly excited or optimistic about as a Burnley fan, is there? They are doomed at the moment, and really are. Man City, nice to see them score goals finally, and look good, very good.
Still off the pace, though. Desperately needed that win, but they need to kick on from here and not. They can't really afford to lose many more games, Man City, because they will fall away. Because Liverpool, you'd think, will get back to winning ways. It is an open season. It's brilliant. And one of the teams who we thought might be in it after the first couple of the games of the season was Everton, who lost at home to Leeds United, who looked like a very, very good team. European football way too early for that. Too far as well, I think. But in terms of staying in the league, they've pretty much already done enough.
Yeah, to be honest, I thought it was one of the best games of the weekend. I thought it was end to end. Both teams gave it a right good go. There were chances aplenty. Bamford missed one. A couple of the Everton players missed a couple of sitters. I'm shocked to only finish 1-0. But Rafinha's a good player. Came in, played really well, took his goal incredibly well. And Leeds are going about their business, nicely. Look very, very good at the moment.
Bamford is playing well, but the one worry with Leeds is they've had 2 games on the trot, the 0-0 with Arsenal as well, where they have banged on the door and banged on the door and banged on the door and had loads and loads of chances. They've only scored 1 in the 2. There is a little worry there for Leeds fans that they're not going to be able to score enough goals.
Yeah, it's very similar to last year, isn't it? Bamford had chances galore in championship games and was struggling to hit the back of the net. And the good thing is Rodrigo is back now. He has quality. He would probably have taken one of the chances on Saturday. And on the other hand, though, Everton, another defeat, pretty disappointing as they started the season incredibly well. I'm not sure where they're going at the moment. They're so inconsistent. It's hard to tell.
Basement battle rounded off Saturday. West Brom beating Sheffield United 1-0. And I never would have thought of this at the start of the season after last year. I think Sheffield United are probably going to go down. I really do. And I know it's early to call, but they just can't score. They're so bad going forward and they're conceding every game.
Yeah, agreed. I'm quite shocked they've only got 1 point, especially after last season's efforts. It's just, obviously, I know they had a lot of chances on Saturday, but again, if you can't score goals, you won't stay in the league. And they've got 4 or 5 strikers who aren't good enough for the level, unfortunately.
Couple of key
West Brom,
injuries
fair
at the
play
back
to
as
them.
well. Couple of key injuries at the back, which really hasn't helped.
No, agreed. But yeah, fair play to West Brom. Good result, but they're also going down.
It doesn't matter. They're both going down. On to Sunday's games. The early kickoff. Southampton went 2-0 up against Man United, and I was celebrating at half time. I was so happy. Man United came back to win 3-2. Lucky for Man United. However, the one thing it does show, which has been absent for Man United this season, is a little bit of bottle to come back from 2-0 down and get the job done.
Yeah, this result really annoys me for several reasons. The fact Solskjaer will stay in the job for longer. He's not good enough to manage Man United. It was a fortunate result again. They are so poor in sort of periods of games at the moment. They got absolutely battered in the first half. But fair play. And Edison Cavani made a big difference, didn't he? Which is good to see.
Once he got his
yeah, definitely. But yeah, it's just Man United really frustrate me. I've got to be honest. They're one of those teams that I just love to see Solskjaer get binned off. I can't stand them at the moment.
I wouldn't be. I wanted to finish in the bottom half. It'd be better for Solskjaer to stay and finish bottom half. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan, and they're not very good, but they still act like they're the best team in the league.
Yeah, there's an arrogance there which isn't coming across in the performances. And annoyingly, for this bit slightly heartbreaking for Southampton, they couldn't nick a point. Great free kick again from Ward-Prowse. He's absolutely brilliant at those. But yeah, they'll be fine. They've had a good season so far.
The most boring game of the weekend. However, I was happy at the end of the game. Chelsea 0, Tottenham 0 at Stamford Bridge. I thought Tottenham played perfectly well. I thought Chelsea played perfectly well. There weren't many chances. You could say Tammy Abraham probably should have scored one of the headers, but they weren't the easiest chances in the world. And there was a chance at the end if Lo Celso had laid it off to Harry Kane, probably would have been a goal for Tottenham. But in terms of the team happiest, you have to be happier as a Tottenham fan because one, you stay top of the league. It's a clean sheet away at Stamford Bridge, and just a very professional performance. Tottenham seem to have an identity, and it's not free-flowing football, but I think that I speak for most Tottenham fans as a very, very lifelong, ardent Tottenham fan that if we win something this year, I don't care how we play. We don't get to lift trophies very often.
No, good. It was going back to a classic Mourinho performance, that isn't it? You don't lose away from home against the big side. You get a point and you beat them at home and you do it. And the way you set up, you played really well, kept it tight, no real chances. It was a good, solid, tactical Mourinho performance. And it's going quite well for Spurs. We'll come on to the team next where it's going horrendously wrong, but it's going very well.
Yes, we will come on to that team now, actually. Arsenal losing at home to Wolves. Wolves looked like the home team to me. They did everything. They were so far above Arsenal in terms of quality. It was ridiculous. I would be very unhappy as an Arsenal fan. We can analyse the performance in a second. The first thing I want to talk about, of course, we hope Raul Jimenez comes back to full health and gets back on the pitch as soon as possible. Awful clash of heads in the first minute with David Luiz. Went off to hospital, had operation on a fractured skull. My issue with this whole thing, head clashes happen. It's really unfortunate. David Luiz was allowed to stay on the pitch. He played till half time and then he went off. Whoever's fault it is, whether it's the Arsenal medical staff not properly going through the concussion protocol, whether it's the concussion protocol itself not being good enough to protect players, David Luiz should not have been playing at all in that first half. If he's had to go off because of a head injury at half time, it's appalling. It's really appalling. It really wound me up.
Yeah, I've got nothing more to add to that, to be honest. You are completely right. It was a sickening challenge collision, which obviously Raul Jimenez is on the recovery, which is great news. But as you say, Luiz should not have carried on. And it's just crazy, isn't it? And yeah, it needs to be sorted because it's becoming a recurring thing at the moment.
Yeah, it's really bad. But luckily, though, people are talking about it, so hopefully something will get done because it's been highlighted in the media. Going on to the performance itself, Arsenal are poor, really poor. There's just nothing. There's no oomph. There's no bite. There's no forward play. No one seems willing to take a man on and take a risk. It's so measured, but in the wrong way.
Yeah, I feel like, as you say, as an Arsenal fan, it was horrifically poor to watch on Sunday night. It's a great way to end the weekend. We're just so defensive, and we've just lost all the attacking prowess and quality, and gone to being very rigid, hard to break down, don't really create anything. Our top player, who signed a massive contract, can't score a goal to save his life.
Terrible.
Completely awful. He was absolutely horrific. I agree with you. He doesn't trust Lacazette. Ozil isn't even in the 25 anymore. We're all over the show at the moment, and I don't know where we're going to go because we've got Spurs next.
You're not looking good at the back at all. Your Wolves had loads of chances. They could have scored 3 or 4 more.
Yeah, I agree. Especially first half. I thought we were absolutely awful first half. And yeah, as you say, we're just so poor. I don't understand why we've got no pace, creativity. We just don't look like scoring. Even the last 25 minutes, we're trying to create, but didn't really have a shot. I don't think we had a shot on target in the second half. That just sums it up.
When Aubameyang's not scoring, he's just not worth having. He's just not honestly, I don't rate him as an all-round centre forward. When he's scoring goals and we've seen before, he's a goal scorer, but he's reminding me a little bit of Emmanuel Adebayor this season. He's got his contract and it's just not working for him. His performance was summed up I think it was in the second half at one point, where he had the ball on the edge of the box and he did the laziest. You could barely even call it a cross. He just sort of chipped it to the defender. And I was just like, what a waste of time. At least Lacazette's a bit more industrious. At least you'd have something in there. And Nketiah will run the lines. There's something.
Yeah, agreed. There was a 30-second spell, I think, in that second half where he did 3 things wrong on the bounce. And you go, he's on a sort of 250k a week. Why are we paying him this amount of money to be as poor as he is at the moment? And I do worry as an Arsenal fan. We aren't playing very well. We are 14th, I think. Mm-hmm. It's not great. We've obviously got the best team in the league coming up next weekend, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. But yeah, I'm not convinced by it at the moment.
You might be, to be fair, if there's ever a time to play Spurs and to be the underdog, it's now. I would be stripping Aubameyang the captaincy. I don't think I never thought he was a captain. I thought that was to keep him sweet, and it's not worked. On to Monday's games. Leicester losing to Fulham. This was the shock of the weekend for me. I thought Wolves were going to beat Arsenal, so this game was unexpected. Leicester could have gone top with a win. If they'd won by a considerable amount, but they could have gone joint top on points. Fulham climb out of the relegation zone. Very good win for Fulham.
Yeah, agreed. There's classic Leicester. Leicester keep doing this at the moment. You kind of back them and think, Christ, they're probably in this, and then they will go and lose to a team they should beat. They did it against West Ham early in the season, lost at home 2 or 3-0. And they've done it again. And fair play to Fulham. I thought they played really well, actually. I did watch it last night. I can't say it. Adenoma Lookman. Yeah, I'm not going to do that again because that was horrific.
Just say Lookman. Lookman's fine.
Just Lookman. But yeah, I thought he played well. I thought Ngiza played quite well in midfield. I thought they looked pretty decent, to be fair, and they were fully deserving of that victory. And fair play to Scott Parker. I do like him as a manager.
There are 3 teams worse than them in the league at the moment, so they've got every chance of staying up. We had them written off the. Of course, we did off the first couple of weeks because we're not just football fans that immediately go, well, Crystal Palace are going to win the league because they're top after the first weekend at all, are we? West Ham beating Aston Villa 2-1 at the London Stadium. Controversy at the end when Aston Villa had a goal ruled out for offside. However, if you looked at the build-up, it probably should have been a penalty, not the offside call. So interesting that VAR has been spotlighted. It's almost like a new reason VAR isn't good enough. We haven't really seen this before, where they only looked at one thing instead of looking at the whole incident. They should have looked at not just the offside. Actually, hold on, while he's running off there, he's being fouled. Someone's pulled him back. But because Ollie Watkins didn't go down, they didn't give the penalty. So interesting.
Yeah, I completely agree. I thought Villa were actually a little bit unlucky last night. They obviously had a couple of goals chalked off. They missed the penalty as well. I thought West Ham rode their luck slightly. They were obviously had quite a difficult run at the start of the season, but they got through that, and they're now starting to win the games they might think they should be winning, and they're doing all right, to be fair. I'm really pleased with David Moyes.
West Ham are 5th.
Yeah, I know it's crazy. It's crazy, but I'm really pleased for them, actually. I'm pleased to see David Moyes doing really well and the West Ham fans not being unhappy. It's good.
Well, I'm sure they'll find a way to be unhappy. I just like the bubble. That's all I care about. Anyway, that was Pub Foot with Miles and Jimmy. We will be back Thursday nights probably to preview this weekend's games. But for now, I've got another beer advent coming, so I'm happy. Cheers. Getting it all together. We'll get it right.